this is Inside Story. I'm Kate from Jeeni, and I'm joined by Matt Gray, who is the wonderful film director behind Spring Street, which is a brand new and exclusive to Jeeni opera. So hi Matt, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks for inviting me in.
Thank you for being here. So Matt, you're the general director of the American Opera Project in New York, and you've done all of the film directing for Spring Street, as we've mentioned. So how did Pete Wire, who composed the piece, originally pitch the project to you?
Well, I've known Pete as a composer for about 10 years now through my opera company, and he is consistently developing exciting new works that are just really breaking the boundaries of what we think of for opera and music theater and as experience. And when he has a fresh idea and he wants to run with it, I just listen. And we're already working on another piece with him, and he came to us with this idea that featured some of the singers that we had already worked with together. And it was just this fresh idea, exploring New York City, exploring a portion of the New York City life in the 1980s with artists that he knew, and finding that vibrancy between what New York City was then and what it is now was an exciting idea. And for him to say, hey, I want to do a bunch of short films. We were in the middle of COVID, and that was really the only way to be creating art.
And I've read that your interests include Britpop, Marvel comics, and New York City apartment horror stories. So with Spring Street being set in an apartment block in Manhattan, it must have been a really fun project for you to be involved with.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before, but it is a convergence, you know, bringing a very British sensibility to a New York story. And it's there's no horror story. And what I mean by that is like, I really love hearing, it's great cocktail conversation here in New York City for everyone to share like their worst apartment stories and like the terrible things that happen. But for the most part, what Pete has written for this are pretty fascinating stories of apartment dwellers, but nothing really. No superheroes, no terrible horror, but still a very New York story nonetheless.
And did the finished piece turn out exactly the way you envisioned it from the start of the project, or did things kind of adapt and change during production?
They adapted because you have to adapt with the way that New York City is. We were, how fast it moves. I didn't have we just rushed into it. So I didn't have too much of a vision other than I listened to the music a few times. Pete told me what he was kind of going for. We said, all right, everyone, when are you free? Let's meet up on this block and we'll go for it. And I had some ideas of what I wanted to capture, but it was very, very free form. And so we just kind of walked around the neighborhood. It was just myself and the performers. So we didn't have a crew. There wasn't a need at that scale to request shooting permits. So it was real guerrilla filmmaking. We just walked around and said, oh, that background looks fantastic. Why don't you walk in front of that? And the singer had the headphones in so he could lip sync to his own recording that had been done previously. Or we'd find a great stoop, or we'd just see a lot of like really interesting background, like New Yorkers doing stuff in the back. It's like, oh, let's shoot now and grab this. And so the idea was we just kept recording the same song, lip syncing to the same song in a lot of different locations. And then so that way we could give it to Pete, who was really, the visionary of the piece and wanted to do the edit, and said, look, we got you all this footage, so you can kind of create more of your story with it. So it wasn't, perfectly storyboarded from beginning to end.
And outside of opera production, you've also worked as a writer and a director for numerous concerts, cabarets, plays, things like that. So to date, what would you say is your proudest achievement?
You know, it's an odd, unique one, but it is proud for me is that I guess about 10, 15 years ago or something,
Mhm.
I co-wrote and co-directed and produced a play series that was done here at an independent theater company in Brooklyn. And it really was close to television serialism on stage, which has been experimented more now, but we were doing it like at like a midnight show then, and it was 12 episodes, like 1 hour episodes, and there was a new one every single month, and it told this very labyrinthine supernatural story. And what was just exciting about it was fusing that new media, or that media storytelling of television that we're a little more familiar with now, but with live audience. And it started off with a small audience, and then as the series went on over 2 years, it built a huge following. And that was really exciting to see
Mhm.
live and in person, because I think it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Mhm. And so you studied a Bachelor of Fine Arts in film directing at the University of North Carolina. So do
Mhm.
you personally think it's essential to go to a similar sort of film institute in order to become a successful film director like yourself?
Oh, well, first, yeah, I don't consider myself a successful film director.
Yeah.
I consider myself a someone who likes directing film, but I have been producing live theater and live opera for the majority of my career. But yeah, I love film. I love bringing a sensibility of filmmaking to it. As for film school, you just have to do it. The
Yeah.
nice thing that a school brings to it is it forces you to be disciplined. It forces you
Mhm.
to be focused. When I was going to school, it also gave you access to equipment that you wouldn't have before, when you're actually shooting on film stock. Nowadays, you can get incredible things out of just
Mhm.
your home camera, your phone.
Mhm.
And so I think it's what's great about film school is it lets you meet a lot of peers, but
Mhm.
if really you just have to do it. If you want to get yourself on a film set and just
Mhm.
go, you can.
So, thanks to your wonderful video directing, Spring Street is going to be live streamed on Jeeni in a couple of months, and we're aiming for a large global audience, meaning that the project is actually sort of breaking free of the confines of concert halls and opera houses and other places where it originally might have been shown. So, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great. I think short form video and film is uh, a really exciting um, venture. I think it's where we're going. I don't think it will eliminate long form storytelling. I think it's just going to be something that we're more and more eager to experience. And
Mhm.
so yeah, it's fantastic to have that as an option, as a collecting house of great work.
So, Jeeni, which is our platform that promotes sort of upcoming independent unsigned artists, already has a channel for independent animators. So, do you think that we should look into creating one where upcoming music video directors can show their work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, no question. That'd be fantastic.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure to meet you. And as I said, Spring Street is going to be live streamed on Jeeni in a couple of months, and we cannot wait. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.